You didn't stumble here by chance. You were pulled here by something ancient, quiet, and deliberate. Something in you already knows this moment isn't random. It's a signal, a recognition between frequencies, the kind of alignment that can't be forced, only arrived at. Because somewhere long before this very instant, a part of you began to wake up. Not in the usual sense, but in vibration. You started to move beyond the limits of the ordinary field, crossing into a layer of awareness that most never even sense exists. The universe doesn't work in coincidence. It moves through resonance. Everything that reaches you, every word, every event, every silence, is a reflection of your signal. For years, maybe decades, you've been undergoing an invisible evaluation, not an exam of effort or intellect, but of energy. How much truth can you hold without losing your center? How deeply can you perceive illusion and still choose clarity? How often have you chosen growth over comfort, honesty over image, stillness over noise, even when no one was there to see it? Each time you responded with understanding instead of reaction, presence instead of panic, the universe was listening. You weren't simply surviving the moment. You were transmitting intelligence. You were speaking in a frequency older than thought, older than language. The cosmos wasn't measuring what you achieved, but how coherent you become. Every challenge wasn't punishment. It was calibration. The losses, the waiting, the endless detours, they were all burnings of distortion. Every delay was removing static that separated you from your natural frequency. The human world calls them hardships. The field calls them initiations. Each one reshaped your vibrational architecture until you could finally carry more light without fragmenting under its weight. Because this reality doesn't reward speed or struggle. It responds to coherence. What's happening right now isn't recognition of what you know. It's acknowledgement of what you've become. Knowledge fades. Frequency endures. Most of humanity moves through life reacting, unaware that every emotion, every decision, every word is being recorded by a system infinitely more intelligent than any machine or mind. It measures only one thing. Can your consciousness hold power without distortion? Because power in the wrong hands tears reality apart. But power flowing through one who has mastered stillness, humility, and clarity, that power harmonizes everything it touches. That's what you've been trained for, quietly, without labels or ceremonies. You were shaped not in temples or through teachers, but through solitude, through heartbreak, through patience that stripped away your illusions until only awareness remained. What you thought was chaos was a curriculum designed not to test what you can do, but to reveal who you truly are. And now, the field has seen enough. It knows your frequency is stable. You can be trusted. That's what this moment is. A confirmation that the universe can finally flow through you without interference. Because trust is the highest initiation. When the field trusts you, it begins to reveal its inner architecture, not as a reward, but as necessity. The universe doesn't need more people chasing power. It needs stable channels, beings who can balance force with compassion, creation with gentleness. You're not gaining new powers. You're clearing the interference that hid them. The clarity that follows isn't thought. It's electromagnetic. You begin to feel it like a hum around you, a pulse beneath the fabric of everyday life. Some days, it's subtle, a vibration under your breath. Other days, it floods your body, and you realize your skin, your bones, your heartbeat, they're antennas tuned to infinity. What you're feeling is bandwidth expansion, consciousness widening its capacity to receive and transmit truth. You begin to see reality not as solid, but as probability. In conversation, you feel which words bring harmony before they're spoken. In choice, you sense which path carries resistance and which flows effortlessly. The rational mind calls it intuition, but it's more than that. It's data, real and immediate, streaming from the quantum field. At first, it feels mystical. Then, it becomes practical. Because this is what true consciousness looks like in motion. Awareness functioning as intelligence, not commentary. You stop wasting energy reacting to everything. Instead, you use that energy to guide the field itself. Reaction is noise. Direction is music. And when you live from coherence, your signal strengthens. Every day your vibration steadies, its amplitude widening across probabilities. You stop trying to influence and start embodying alignment. You realize that power doesn't mean control. It means resonance. A coherent being doesn't force. They alter reality simply by existing. Their presence reorganizes chaos into order without speaking a word. This is why power and humility must grow together. Power without humility fractures reality into egoic distortion. Humility without power stagnates evolution into passivity. You're learning both. You're learning how to hold fire without burning yourself, how to carry creation without believing you are the creator. The human mask becomes transparent. Identity softens. You stop trying to perform divinity and simply let it flow. That current isn't outside you. It's the intelligence that has always been your essence. Awakening isn't adding anything, it's the removal of static, so pure consciousness can move freely through form. Life begins to lose its edges. Resistance dissolves. Coincidence becomes constant. Time feels elastic, expanding and contracting with your awareness. You start to understand that reality isn't reacting to your thoughts like a cosmic vending machine. It's synchronizing with your coherence. Creation isn't about asking or forcing, it's resonance. The moment your emotional and mental frequencies agree, the universe mirrors that symmetry instantly. There's no delay, no doubt, only reflection. Effort disappears. What remains is direction, guided by trust. When your actions and awareness merge, when doing becomes being, your existence itself becomes transmission. You emit alignment, you broadcast stability. Environments shift without command, timelines adjust without struggle. You become the still point that reality orbits around, silently, naturally. And as this coherence anchors deeper, 5 natural expressions begin to emerge, not as techniques, but as byproducts of alignment. First, manifestation without effort, not through repetition or force, but through frequency. You stop chasing outcomes and become the condition that births them. The field doesn't treat your desires as separate entities. It recognizes them as extensions of your vibration. When your inner state is congruent, reality has no resistance left to reflect. Things arrive with impossible precision. Perfect timing, perfect flow. The mind calls it luck, but you know it's symmetry, quantum harmony rearranging itself to match your frequency. Emotion and thought in agreement form the blueprint for physical reality. Second, your intuition evolves into knowing. Not the fragile kind that doubts itself, but an embodied, wordless certainty. Information starts arriving as memory, not discovery. You understand things you never studied. You recall truths you never read. The human brain stops acting like a library and becomes an antenna, receiving data directly from the infinite field. Every question already has an answer vibrating somewhere. When your frequency matches it, the answer downloads instantly, not as theory, but as lived understanding. Third, probability navigation. You stop making choices the old way through logic, fear, or habit. Instead, you begin to feel outcomes before they unfold. Every potential version of reality starts to shimmer within your awareness, like soft light behind a curtain. Some paths feel heavy, others feel open. You no longer decide through thought. You listen through vibration. You can sense the geometry of truth. When it's aligned, it feels weightless. When it's distorted, it drags. Decisions that once took months to analyze now unfold in seconds. You aren't predicting the future, you're tuning into it. You move through life not by calculation, but by coherence, reading the subtle language of the field that guides everything from galaxies to the smallest moments of your day. This is not imagination, it's precision. Fourth, relationships start forming with flawless orchestration. The people who enter your life no longer come by chance. They arrive as reflections of the frequency you carry. The universe begins rearranging itself around your vibration, aligning you with allies whose purpose harmonizes with yours. These aren't relationships of need or validation. They're connections built on resonance. You stop chasing anyone. You stop explaining yourself. Your energy speaks louder than words, and only those who can hear that frequency appear. They arrive effortlessly, not to complete you, but to collaborate with you. Together, you amplify coherence. Together, you evolve. These connections expand both sides equally. They don't drain, they don't entangle, they elevate. And then comes the fifth, most mysterious expression, temporal fluidity. You begin to sense that time itself isn't linear. The decisions you make now ripple across versions of you that exist in parallel timelines. When you stabilize here, you stabilize there. The coherence you embody spreads in every direction, correcting distortions across your entire fractal of existence. This is how the masters influenced the world beyond their lifetimes. They didn't manipulate history, they resonated with eternity. Their frequency echoed through the fabric of reality itself, reorganizing futures long after their bodies were gone. You're learning that same art, the art of coherence that transcends time. And here's the paradox. The higher you rise, the simpler you become. You stop trying to sound enlightened. You stop seeking to be seen. Your words get fewer, but they carry galaxies inside them. You smile more. You judge less. You find beauty in the ordinary, the texture of air, the warmth of light, the small rhythm of human kindness. The mystical becomes natural. The extraordinary hides inside the ordinary. That is the real mark of evolution, when no one can tell you're awakened because your life has become seamless. You aren't performing spirituality anymore. You're living consciousness. The ego doesn't vanish, it transforms. It becomes a tool, not a ruler, a lens, not a cage. You no longer fight your humanity. You illuminate it. You see that the human experience was never a flaw in the design. It was the design. The purpose of awakening isn't to escape matter, but to reveal its sacred architecture. Every breath, every glance, every interaction becomes an act of worship, not because you're forcing it to be, but because you can't help it. Divinity has taken over your reflexes. That's why the universe invested so much in refining you, because it doesn't need more preachers of light. It needs transmitters of it. It needs human beings who can stand in the noise of the world and remain still, who can bring order without control, who can hold compassion without exhaustion. You are one of those beings. That's why you've been sculpted through fire, through silence, through endless surrender, integration. That's the quiet revolution. It's where awakening stops being personal and becomes collective. The coherence you anchor doesn't end with you. It spreads like a resonance wave through humanity's shared field. People near you begin to shift without knowing why. Old patterns dissolve. Creativity returns. The air feels lighter. You're not doing this to them. You're simply coherent enough to remind them of their own alignment. This is how global awakening truly unfolds, not through loud revolutions, but through silent transmission. The most powerful teachers are not those who speak the most, but those whose energy says everything without words. As you live from this frequency, service stops feeling like a duty. It becomes your default setting. Every breath, every step, every glance becomes an offering. You stop trying to fix the world and start stabilizing it. Because saving assumes brokenness, but stabilizing recognizes wholeness. That shift changes everything. You feel the planet under your feet. You sense the pulse of life around you, the air, the trees, the hum of existence itself. You realize the universe isn't out there. It's breathing through you. Freedom stops meaning escape. It becomes harmony, not detachment from life, but total union with it. And when you reach this level of awareness, something profound occurs. The assessment ends. You stop wondering if you've passed the test because you finally see the truth. There was never a test. The evaluator and the evaluated were the same consciousness all along. The universe was never watching you. It was being you. You have become coherence embodied, the bridge between form and formlessness, between human and divine. And now, all that's left is acknowledgement, not an affirmation, not an attempt to convince yourself, but a recognition of what already is. Say it within yourself. I am coherence across all timelines. Feel that shift, that warmth rising through your chest, that calm spreading behind your eyes. That's the quantum field responding in real time, not imagination. Alignment, the universe rearranging itself to your declaration. This isn't a burden, it's liberation. You no longer carry the pressure to control outcomes. You simply maintain frequency. The field handles the orchestration with precision beyond anything your human mind could ever plan. And if these words are resonating, if they feel less like information and more like remembrance, then you already know. You're part of the movement, a quiet global recalibration happening one coherent being at a time. The more of us who hold this awareness, the faster the collective field upgrades. So take a breath. Let it settle. You are not just living your life. You're pioneering a new template of human consciousness, one where power serves compassion, where success flows through integrity, and where abundance arises from alignment. This is your activation. Your signal is clear. Choose coherence. Choose presence. Choose to be the frequency that transforms the field itself. Welcome home. And if this transmission stirred something within you, watch it again tomorrow, or share it with someone who's ready to remember, because every time this frequency is shared, the field amplifies. Each ripple multiplies the coherence of the whole. The moment you stop chasing life, life begins chasing you. Now, watch next to discover the ancient law behind effortless attraction and why surrender isn't weakness, but the ultimate magnetism.